Hi, I'm Heather from Heather Handmade, and today I'm going to teach you how to sew an invisible zipper with an invisible zipper foot. Please like this video and follow my channel for lots of sewing tutorials. I actually have another video where I teach you how to sew an invisible zipper without an invisible zipper foot. You can just do it with your regular sewing machine foot, but there are a lot more things you have to do to be able to open the zipper correctly. So go over to that video if you're interested in not buying an invisible zipper foot. So this is an invisible zipper foot. You can see it has a small hole here on the top for the needle, and then when you look at the bottom, there's actually a bar that goes down the middle and it separates both sides. So when you're using an invisible zipper, when I open this up, when you're sewing it, you're going to be sewing this onto the fabric with the edge of the fabric like this. So as it's coming into the sewing machine, it's going to come like this. So you're going to be, this is on, the fabric's going to be over here. And so your foot will line up with, this coil will be going on this side of the foot, and your needle will be going down right in the middle, which actually sews right next to the coil. It pushes it open just slightly so you can sew right next to it, and you can get a perfect straight line. Invisible zipper is when the teeth or the coils of the zipper are actually curved down to the back of the zipper. So you can see that this is where all of the zipper teeth are, and that is curled towards the back so that when you sew it and you sew right next to the teeth, the fabric's gonna lay right here, and it makes this zipper almost invisible when you're looking at it when it's sewn into a garment. These zippers are not the strongest zippers. I've seen usually invisible zippers are the zippers that break more often than other zippers. So you do have to be careful when using them because they can't have a lot of stress pulled on them because they will just pop apart. There are some pretty strong invisible zippers that I've seen on wedding dresses. So if you get a larger, more industrial size zipper, then that would work for when you need more stress on the invisible zipper. Now before you sew the zipper onto the fabric, you need to finish the raw edge of the fabric that the zipper will be sewn onto, since you won't be able to do it after you sew the zipper on. I'm going to be demonstrating how to sew an invisible zipper on with these two samples of fabric, but I actually sewed a seam in the middle here because I wanted to show you the best trick for matching up a seam when you're sewing an invisible zipper on. So whenever I'm sewing an invisible zipper, because the teeth are curled and you have to kind of twist and flip the zipper, it's pretty confusing for me while I'm sewing. So the best thing I do to help myself not get confused is I lay out the zipper as if it were all the way done, what it would look like with everything, like right side up. Obviously, if this were a dress, there would be, more fabric and it would be more things in the way, but you want to look at the where the zipper is going to be inserted with the zipper in the middle so you can see what it looks like. Then I undo, I pull the zipper pull all the way down to the bottom, and because this is what it's going to look like when it's done, when you sew it, you are going to put this, you're going to flip it over. So I'm lining up the top of the zipper tape with the top. This would be seam allowance, and when you're sewing on either a facing or a lining, you would be coming and sewing across here and finishing, that edge right there. So I have my zipper tape to all the way at the top, and then you are going to line the zipper tape up all the way down. And we're just going to pay attention to one side at this moment. And try not to pull your teeth, try not to pull the zipper tape as you pin. So then I'm going to pin the zipper tape to the fabric, because you don't want the zipper tape to stretch or the fabric to be stretched as you sew. So you're trying to keep it as its original size and then pin them together. Now I'm going to take this over and show you how to sew it with the invisible zipper foot. So now I'm putting the invisible zipper foot into my sewing machine, and you want the needle to go straight down the middle. So if you have to move your needle over a little bit, then you need to adjust that so that it's in the correct position. Then we're going to sew this, but we want to be sewing as if this were open and you're sewing right next to this line. You want this side of the zipper tape to be on the left side so that the needle will go down right next to this. So I've put this in, and I'm going to back stitch up here at the top, and then I'm going to sew all the way down the zipper. I'm taking out the pin before I get to it. When you get to the bottom, you will sew as close as you can to the zipper pull, and that will be as far down the zipper you can get. And then back stitch, and one side of the zipper is done. Now that this side of the zipper is sewn on, we are going to, I'm going to show you how to match up this seam that's in the middle. This would be like a waist seam or a bust seam. So what you do is you close your zipper, like this, so you can see this is what it's going to look like when it's done. That's the fabric is right next to the zipper teeth, so it's nice, and it's going to be pretty much hidden. Since the zipper is closed, we are going to use that to help us mark the waist seam on the side of the zipper tape that we have not sewn yet. So you can see here is the seam, and on this side it's right here. I'm marking right where the seam is, and then I'm going to mark the same mark on the other side. I'm not matching it up with this fabric right here. I'm matching it up with, you want these two lines to be straight across the zipper teeth, so that you know that when you're pinning this, the other side of the zipper, that this is exactly where you want the waist seam to be. Now you're going to open the zipper again, all the way open, and lay it out again what it would look like if it were all sewn. And then you are going to take your other side and flip it out so that it will be, right sides together with the other side. But you want to make sure that your teeth are coming over to come to the outside so that you don't twist anything. And now I'm matching on the other side, so I'm going to match the zipper tape up at the top just like I did on the other side, so I can make sure that the top of my zipper will end at the same spot. And then I come down and I find this mark. This is my waist seam, and I'm going to pin this. Before I pin anything else, I'm going to pin that mark so that it's exactly where my waist seam is going to be. Now, sometimes after you do this, you can see that maybe your fabric needs to be pulled, or it's slightly larger, and that's where you either have to ease it in or stretch it slightly to make it fit, because the most important thing is that your top matches and that your waist matches, and then at the end we can make sure that the bottom matches, but you want your seam to match across the back. Now I go through and pin the rest of the zipper tape to the edge of the fabric. Now we're going to sew the other side of the zipper, and now when I have the zipper teeth, since I'm doing the other side, I'm having the zipper teeth go through the groove on the right side so that the needle can go just right here on the left of the zipper teeth. Now that I have sewn both sides of the zipper, you get to close the zipper and check if you sewed over any of the coils, then it wouldn't zip up all the way. And then you can check to see if your seam lines up. So if you see this is pretty much perfect, where this seam looks like it's matching up with the other one. So that worked out really well. And the last thing you need to do is finish the seam under the invisible zipper. So that's this seam down here. So if you flip to the inside, what you're going to do is we're going to sew this like a seam. So this would be like this. And we are going to sew down along like this. Now, you are going to need to use a regular zipper foot to get as close to this seam as possible. And so all the way down, you're going to have about 1/8 of an inch gap where you sew, and then there will be a gap to this stitching here. And this is how all of invisible zippers are sewn below an invisible zipper. I see it in ready-wear all the time. This is just the only way you can sew below an invisible zipper with the way it's made. And I usually start about 1/4 to 1/2 inch above the bottom so that I make sure I'm not leaving any holes. And then when you zip the zipper down, there will be a little bit of fabric covering up the bottom of the zipper. Now I'm going to take out the invisible zipper foot, and I'm going to put in my regular zipper foot. I'm going to put my fabric in. You're going to try to fold kind of along that zipper. So this is the bottom of my stitching. I'm going to start just above, but I need to move my needle over to the right. And I'm lining up my seam. So I'm going to put my foot down 1/2 inch above the bottom of that stitching. The stitching ends right there. And I'm going to back stitch. Make sure that you keep this out of the way. And then you're going to sew down that seam, keeping the same seam allowance all the way down. Make sure that you don't sew over the bottom of the zipper. You don't want to catch that in a seam. And sew all the way down. And that's how you sew an invisible zipper with an invisible zipper foot. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day.